Hi, Life in the Racer's Lane listeners. I'm Catherine Haas, your host for this week. And here I have Miss Jen Dervarics with us, who is our athletic director of UNOH. She is the current athletic director after being the head soccer coach and the assistant soccer coach. And we are so lucky to have her with us today. Please.
Thank you very much for having us on. I'm honored to be here and glad to be a part of the podcast.
So how did you become the athletic director? I understand you were the coach and they're doing some amazing things right now, but what does your day-to-day look like as well?
Yeah, it's so it was kind of it's a fun road. I started off as the assistant soccer coach and then made my way up to head soccer coach. And then after 5 years of that, kind of turned to the administrative side and went into the athletic director role. So it's been a fun journey for me. I love, getting to know the students from different aspects. And, I was kind of on the ground with soccer and totally engaged in soccer. And now I kind of get to see all of our student athletes and be engaged with them in a different way. So it's been a pretty neat evolution of, my career and different impacts that I've been able to have on their lives. So it's been fun for me.
Is there you said that knowing the students and learning about them is one of the most fun aspects. What would you say is also part of the job?
I think so. A lot of the athletic director job is behind the scenes. I have an assistant athletic director in Scott Millsaps. He does a lot of the on the ground stuff, and you see him a lot at all the events. And I'm at most of the events as well. But he's kind of the guy that we use to run things. So that's freed me up a little bit to be able to do more of the behind the scenes stuff and kind of make bigger picture adjustments and improvements. So a lot of what I do is obviously with budgeting, but like long-term planning for the athletic department and, overall management of all of the sports and making sure we're following all the guidelines that we need to follow. And it's a little bit of everything. I never really know what each day is going to bring. Some days I'm meeting with students, other days I'm meeting with coaches, other days I'm in my office and plugging away at numbers. So it's a little bit of everything, but it's what makes me enjoy it. There's no dull moments. There's always something going on, and I get to interact with all kinds of people, peers, administration, and students. So it's fun for me.
Do you have a favorite sport that you like to go watch?
In terms of watching, don't kill me, soccer people, but basketball. I think I would say I was big into basketball and soccer when I was growing up and in high school. So soccer was I was better at soccer, but basketball was kind of my true love. So I played a little bit of both in college, but soccer is my kind of go-to. I know a lot more about soccer, but I do enjoy basketball a lot.
Yes.
But the other part is too, I'm learning a lot more about other sports. I played softball a little bit growing up, but volleyball is one that I've never had any, playing experience in. So now that I'm able to go to more of the games, I'm learning more about the sport, more about the ins and outs of how it works. And, just kind of learning new things, golf and tennis. I never played them, so I don't know a lot of the intricacies and still don't, but I know more than I did 5 years ago. So it's pretty cool to be able to engage with the coaches and the student athletes and learn more about, each sport as well.
That's amazing. I know as a soccer player, I'm sort of biased, but I think that it is an amazing opportunity for everyone when they come here, and the majority of the school is athletics. So what would you say is something new or something different that's happened at UNOH since you've been athletic or since you've become the athletic director? How has it changed?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for me, one thing that we haven't seen change yet that is up and coming is flag football. We're bringing in women's flag football to start next year. So those students will matriculate in fall of 26, and they are a spring season sport. So they'll play. They'll have their fall season. That's kind of an off season for them next fall. And then the following spring of 27 will be their first competitive season. So that's a new thing that we're really looking forward to. It's a big up and coming sport. It's something that is growing at all levels of the organization. So, from youth all the way up to the pros. And now it's becoming really a lot more prevalent in colleges as well. You see a new school, every week who's deciding to add women's flag football for 26, 27. So that's been a really neat thing to kind of be a part of. And I'm excited to see kind of where that takes us and, what we can do with that. But other than that, I think a big thing that we've tried to focus on throughout my tenure is the student athlete experience, and just making that as best as we possibly can. And one of the big areas that we've focused on lately, and a big thanks to Scott Millsaps, is the social media aspect, and making us a lot more prevalent on social media and getting us out there, having the student athletes have something to kind of boost the athletic experience. And I think that's been something that has been a pretty valuable tool and insight for the student athletes as well. So that's something that we're really proud of. And Scott and his team, work really hard on. I know he has a lot of students that do aspects of it as well. So that's another way that we've been able to engage with the student athletes and kind of, Scott and I aren't really in the social media era. So it's now that it's up and coming, Scott really has dove into it, but it's been a lot of the students teaching him as well. So it's been a pretty cool back and forth experience, kind of going through that process as well.
That's amazing. I know personally, doing a podcast is not something that I expected to see myself doing. And I know a few of the students actually who are helping Scott with the TikTok and the Instagram at UNOH Racers. And we're so excited to see how the world of social media has transformed the student experience, especially TikTok, and getting the school out there. I know a lot of people from back home are excited to see when the Facebook posts come up, when the Instagram posts come up.
Oh yeah. It's a huge, recruiting tool.
Yes.
It's a big recruiting tool. But aside from that, for the current students, allowing their families to have more insight. And, it's kind of like bringing their experience back home and showing them more of what they're doing and allowing them to be more engaged with, their family and families to kind of be more immersed in what the students are doing here as well. So, it's been a pretty neat progression from us not really knowing much about the social media world, and then just Scott kind of running and flying with it and finding some students that are pretty invested and have been able to help teach as well. So it's been a neat experience. I think I hope the students like it. It's something that we've put a lot of time and effort in, and Scott has for sure. So
yes. And what else would you say that is unique about UNOH and our athletics program?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for us, compared to a lot of other schools, our international student base is something that is quite unique to us. That I think is a really cool experience. It's a collegiate experience that I never got to experience, and I don't think a lot of people generally do. For us, about a quarter of our student athletes are internationals, and that brings a lot of cultural differences and just education to a whole different level. You can't get that kind of education in college. Right. You can learn about those places overseas and wherever else, but you're not going to be immersed in those cultures, unless you do maybe an exchange program somewhere. But again, it's being involved with internationals on an everyday basis, and internationals from all over the world, I think is a really cool thing for a lot of our athletes and just our university in general. I think they add a lot to the university. But then just generally speaking, I think for us, we put a lot of time and effort into our sports programs, and we have a lot of support for our athletic programs here. So I think for us, it allows our programs to be successful. And with that success comes even more experiences in the national tournament and things of that nature, whereas other student athletes may not get to experience that at all throughout their collegiate career. I think that's something that is, coming here, that on any given year, you have a chance to be in the national tournament and, compete at that level and have those experiences. So I think that's something else pretty unique to us, is that we're regularly in those kind of situations because we do have the support, from the university, and we have a good staff that helps us, get to those points. So that's another thing that I think our athletics, our athletes specifically, it's a good experience for them and something that we want to make sure to continue. So.
Speaking of the national tournament, who is in the national tournament and how many times have we gone?
Yes. So right now, currently, women's soccer is in the national tournament. Men's soccer just barely missed out, so we were close there. But yeah, women's soccer is in there. They're in Idaho at the moment. They play tomorrow against the Masters, and then if they win that game, then they'll play on Saturday against College of Idaho. So that's something we're rooting for them to make it through these first and second rounds, and hopefully they can go on to the final site. But that's an experience that not many people here have had. We don't. Out in Idaho, obviously they had to fly, so it makes it a little bit bigger of a picture and more of an experience. So I can't remember any time that we've had to fly from a soccer standpoint. I know baseball has gone out to Idaho for their national tournament back in 2018, but it's not usual to have to fly to a place for the national tournament. So that's kind of a cool experience in itself. But it's also makes travel a little bit more exhausting, and the time change and all of that. So, but to be honest, any of our sports on any given year have a chance at going to the national tournament. We're always a contender in the league. Our men's and women's soccer are pretty constant. Men's and women's golf are constant. Baseball's constant. Softball just went last year as well. They're always in the hunt for the conference tournament. The basketball teams have done really well as of lately, and I would expect them to do the same thing too and make a run in the conference and potentially get to the national tournament as well. So for us, bowling is consistently a contender. So yeah, and some of these teams you don't think of, and we have really, really good athletes in their respective sports, and it's just really neat to be a part of and be able to see kind of the bigger picture and get to know more of what's going on in other sports, as the athletic director. So it's fun for me.
No, I would have never guessed, as someone from the South, Georgia, we don't really have bowling. And so knowing that it's a collegiate sport when I got here, that was very interesting to me.
Yeah, it is. And it's another one that's gaining more prevalence. There's more, we never, and this is kind of dating me, but we never had bowling as a varsity sport in high school. And now, there's most high schools have bowling offered as a varsity sport. So that's another one that's kind of coming up and getting bigger as it grows. And it's something that we're proud of as well. Our bowling programs, both the men and women's side, have traditionally been pretty good each year. And in the hunt for nationals. So
that's amazing. It is so fun and so interesting to see how a small school, typically 1,000 to 2,000 students on campus every year, how we are heavy contenders with the national tournament and in the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference.
Yes, for sure. Within the conference, we're always a force to be reckoned with. That's nearly every sport, almost any given year. Now, nationals is the one where we can make shorter or longer runs on a given year. But it's the thing about our conference is we're really tight knit. We're all kind of in, our longest trip is a little less than 4 hours. So for us, there's all kinds of competition within the conference. It's not, like certain sports have their have their key people that are key teams that they're rivals with.
Yes.
But that could be a different school on any given sport because we're all so close and we play a lot of the same teams, but we also have a lot of the same recruiting pools. So players know each other from different schools and you get to know each other quickly. And so it creates a lot of rivalries and makes it really fun. But it's definitely a great conference to be a part of. I love it. Good administration to work with on other schools as well. But it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, I can imagine. As an athlete, I'm always looking forward to seeing, oh, I know her, or I can't wait to play them because we know them and we get to know them as well.
Yep.
It's such a tight-knit community, especially also in Lima, and the amount of support from the community that we have is amazing.
And I think that's another aspect for our student athletes as well that you mentioned before, kind of unique to us, is not all schools get to kind of surround themselves with a community that supports them. With us, we are the prime university in Lima that offers sports. So a lot of our student athletes get to engage with the Lima schools and, the local schools, but also, the outskirts schools. And, we run camps and do community service and all of that stuff. So we're making more and more connections with the local community. And, in turn, they're starting to reciprocate and come back and come to some of the games and support our student athletes. And that's been another kind of transformation, I think, during my time. We've tried to really engage with the community and get more involved and be out there and get our name out there and show that we're more than, we've got our tech side that everybody knows about, but we've also got athletics and our business side as well that isn't as well known, and we're making a little bit more prevalent.
Yes.
So bringing awareness to that and all of the things that we can also bring to the community, and help as well. So
yes, it is so exciting, especially I would say that the College of Business is huge with our athletes. And then also the tech side. It's so interesting to be able to see that students can be both athletes and students and be able to look into the high performance motorsports aspect while also being able to be a business administration student.
Yeah, and it's something that's unique to our school. There's not many schools that offer the technological degrees that we offer. And they're really becoming more prevalent now because of going into the workforce. And, there's a lot of need for those types of degrees. But then also us being able to add on a bachelor's in a business type role where you learn, yes, the technical aspects, but then you also get the business side of it. So we have a lot of our students come out and they're ready to run the family business, or they're ready to go own their own business, or what have you, or they're more marketable within the company that they, wherever they choose to work afterwards, because we've got a pretty high set rate in terms of careers going on to your career right after you graduate. And those students are a lot more marketable within those companies and those career fields because they have the additional skill set of, the business aspect behind it as well. And that's something too that is an attractive point for us bringing in student athletes. There's not many places where you can go where you can get this degree, plus you can get a bachelor of business on top of it, plus you can play athletics. So here we are, come join us. And, when you're done at the end of your 4 years, you're well on your way to being ready for your career. So
yes. And it's not just important in the career aspect. I mean, we have students excelling in the classrooms, and we have students who are taking the 10 week of school as a quarter in stride, which is also something interesting that we do. Yeah. When I came here, I didn't understand what the quarter system was because it's not something that I was used to. I'm so used to semesters back in high school.
Right.
But I think part of the uniqueness of the UNOH as well is the 10 weeks. And would you comment a little bit on that?
Yeah, that's something that I think for us is an unknown benefit that people, like, unless you're immersed in it, you don't understand it or really know what it is, but B, you don't see the benefits until you're actually doing it.
Yes.
From a classroom and an academic perspective, it's a lot squeezed into 10 weeks, but you're also diving deeper into each of those subjects than you would if you were in a semester school. Right. Given that we've got 3 of the main quarters out of the year, you can choose to take summer or not, like you can anywhere. But, our years are broken into thirds and into the fall, winter, spring quarter rather than the 2 semesters. So the semester schools have to take a bigger chunk of what they're learning and do more of a top layer, whereas we can say, okay, you're in these classes, but we've got 3 sets of classes in the year. So we can take a deeper dive into these areas and get to know a little bit more about each of these topics rather than having to just skim the surface because we only have 1 semester, to get through this much material. Right. So I think it's neat for us. The other aspect too is the times that they run throughout the year. So for a lot of our fall sports, and then coming into our winter sports, we have a buffer before we start spring classes. So fall classes. So fall classes don't start until the middle of September. And that allows our fall and then coming into our winter sports, the time they need to prepare for their sport and not have to double dip in a full-time academic load as well. Right. So it lets the new students come in and get used to the place and get used to kind of living in a new place, meeting new friends, starting their sport, getting to know kind of a routine before they have to get thrown into a full-time class load as well. Right. It allows us to do a lot more team bonding, team chemistry stuff. We also have for the spring sports, we have a 2.5 to 3 week spring break that allows them that time as well. Yeah. So basically all of our sports seasons have what I don't think those outside of this system would realize as big benefits, just kind of in the camaraderie, the culture standpoint, embedding yourself in both your sport and the academics, and having a good balance of the 2 of them. So I think, that's been definitely a positive for us to be able to, use that system to our advantage, as much as we possibly can. So
yes, and you mentioned the culture of the university. What does that mean to you as an athletic director? Yeah,
I'd say that's another area that I've been trying to focus on since I became athletic director. Before we were more in, I'd say more siloed. Whereas now I feel like there's a lot of cross-departmental relationships, even within our athletics program. That's where I think our culture is really, lifting itself up. I see it from the day to day. The other departments might not see it from the day to day, but from our athletic standpoint, the culture of just our staff, our teams, our just the whole athletic department has just been much more robust. We're all fighting for the same goals. We all want to see each other do well. You can go to any given sporting event and you'll see 4 other sports teams there, represented. Right. You'll see, 3 to 4 other coaching staffs there. And it's always different, it's always rotating. And, it doesn't matter what sport it might be. You'll see other athletes and other coaches there. And, obviously the administrative support they'll have as well. But it's something where I think for us, it's more, we've built it into more of a UNOH athletic culture rather than just, okay, I'm part of the UNOH soccer program and that's all I do. I'm a UNOH athlete and the students are proud of that. And the coaches are proud to be part of the UNOH staff. And it's not just, your own sport. So that's something that I feel like too, has really grown. And I got to give the credit a lot to my staff on that. Yes. They've formed a lot of the connections. They've helped, build some of the bridges between departments. They've done a really nice job of working collaboratively with others around them and getting to know people outside of the work world. So that obviously helps as well. If you can, go have dinner with a few of your peers, and your coworkers, that gives you a different side to view people and break down some of those barriers. So I think that's helped a lot as well. I think our staff has done a tremendous job, and the student athletes as well have done an amazing job supporting each other. Yes. So I think, the culture here I'm very, very proud of. So.
No, that's amazing. I think part of being a student athlete is making these relationships with other sports. Mm-hmm. And especially in the classroom, going back to that, I see 4 different sports represented in each of my classrooms, and they all bring a unique experience, especially because regardless of why we're here, how we're here, we all learn something about each other every day.
Absolutely. And that's where the professors are coming in big too, because it's, I think we're building those bridges between the academic and the athletic side. And now instead of being kind of in our own silos, we're all on one team and working towards a common goal and working towards the success of the university, which in big part is built on the success of the students, and making the student achievement kind of the center of our universe. So I think, from the academic side, it's really helped that we have a group of, professors and leaders on that side that are really, they care about our students, and they're engaged, and they're invested in our students and what their interests and hobbies are. So I think for that, from that aspect, it's been really neat to kind of see the total university involvement being invested in our students and our student athletes. Because I think that's something that kind of, going back several years, has been very siloed. And now I think we're working together very, very well to, all be in it together for the success of the student and the university and that. So, yeah, I'm very proud to be a racer from all aspects here. Another aspect that I'm very proud of is our community service. We touched on that before, and I think that's something else that, especially from an athletic standpoint, we've tried to focus on, and get our name out there, get ourselves out there, see, what great students we have here and what we have to offer. And I think, we've got administrative side who's helping kind of organize stuff, but our students want to do it. They want to be there. They want to be engaged. They want to help out and teach these, the younger, whether it's elementary school or middle schoolers or, doing camps and clinics and stuff for high schoolers or whatever it might be. It might just be doing a trunk or treat. It might be doing, going to read to them in the classroom for the elementary school kids, going into their gym class and playing the given sport with them. It's something where these kids are looking up to our student athletes, as they should, because, we've got a really, really good group. And I think, on the whole, it's something where we need to really be proud of and show the community, we're here, we're engaged, and we're invested. So that's another piece I've been very proud of, especially over the last couple of years, that we've been able to develop a little bit more.
Yes. As student athletes, I always like to say there's a reason student comes before athlete. And that's one of my favorite phrases in college, reminding me kind of why I'm here and how much not only it takes to be a student of the game, but a student in the classroom, a student of the community to be successful in life.
Absolutely. It's about a bigger picture, it's about preparing you for life, not just going out and winning games.
Yes.
Winning is nice. We all love that. Yes. But at the same time, it's the life lessons is kind of what's going to take you further. Some of my top coaches that I've had, it's not because we've been on the best team or we've, they know the most about the sport. It's because of the life lessons that they've taught me and that I've carried on. And they're kind of instilled in the back of my brain, and that's kind of where I see our coaching staff currently is a lot of them, pretty much all of them are not they're not all just about the wins and the losses in the sport. Yes, that's lovely, and that comes with it, and we all want that to come with it, and that helps enhance things, obviously. But there's bumps in the road, and it's how do you handle that, and how do you manage your students so that you're getting the best out of each one of them, and how can you have all of them reach their full potential, and how can you prepare them for life after college? Because right now, they're almost all over 18. They're all adults, but at the same time, there's still a lot of mentorship that needs to happen. And college is where you kind of bridge that gap between childhood and life, like real life. So it's figuring out kind of how to coach, not just on the court or the field, but how to coach them in life.
Yes.
And I feel like we've got a really good group of coaches that are invested in that aspect as well, which helps enhance the culture yet again, not just kind of the wins and losses on the court or the field or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the biggest life lessons that you would say to students who are ready to come here or looking to come here?
So for me, so there's two aspects there. Life lessons for me is basically you're going to get out of something whatever you put into it. If you're going to go into something and just expect stuff to come to you, you're going to have a very low ceiling.
Right.
But if you go into something and say, where can this take me? Mm-hmm. The sky's the limit, and for me, I didn't go into coaching thinking I was going to be an athletic director. That was not my end goal 13 years ago, but growing and learning and seeing new avenues and taking advantage of opportunities that were presented or that I created, got me to where I am now. And I wouldn't have been able to plan for that, before. But, it's not always about, who's watching or what you're going to get out of something. It's about the internal drive that you have and what goals do you want to meet and how can you get yourself there. So I think for me, more of life lesson is that it's the entitlement factor is not going to get you anywhere. Mm-hmm. It's more of, okay, where's my internal drive? Because this is what I want. And this is where I know I can get to and the potential I can reach. What can I do to get myself there? It's all of those extra things. It's, it's going out and what else extra can you do on top of, so let's say your sport, for example, you want to become an all conference player. Well, you're probably not going to do that unless you go in and get, a basketball player goes in and shoots an extra 100 shots a day outside of practice. If you're going to do only what's mandated of you, don't expect bigger things to happen. Right. You're going to have to put the extra work in. Likewise, if you have a job goal, you got to go out and make connections. You're going to have to go out and have experiences, get internships, go out, put yourself out there, do some volunteering, see where you can network and make those connections so that you can get yourself to the end goal that you want to be. If you're just going to go to class and, do well in class, but then kind of expect things to come to you, right, you're going to have a tougher time. And not to say that that's bad. But if you have these high goals that you want to achieve and you want to reach your full potential, then you've got to go out there and seek these opportunities and see what you can do to kind of get yourself to that next level. For the students coming in, you kind of mentioned kind of what advice I would have for them. I guess I would say, if you want to be part of a family atmosphere, you mentioned we only have 1,000 to 2,000 students here on campus at a given time. That's us, where your professors are going to know you. If you're a student athlete, your coaches are going to know you. Your advisors are going to know you. All the support offices are going to know who you are. You're not just a number here. So right. I think for us, it's students that really care about their education. They care about, what we talked about, life, yes, growing in life and having those mentors and people that you can rely on and go to and they can be your mentors. You're going to find all that here. So we're ready to welcome you into our family and we would love to have you be a part of it. But, it's only going to be what you make of it. So, come in ready to go, all cylinders firing and, The sky's the limit when you're here. There's so many resources that we offer that can help get you to that next level and reach your potential. So I think, that would kind of be my biggest advice for incoming students.
And speaking of resources, what sort of resources do we offer on campus for students?
That's a loaded question because there's quite a few.
Yes.
We've got your mental health and your counseling resources. We've got all of your academic resources. We've got tutoring and study table availability and individualized tutoring where it's, per class. If you need a specific one-on-one tutor, that's available. We also offer resources for career enhancement. So, our career services department, how do you build your resume so that it looks really, it's professional.
Right.
It's going to get through all of those, at this point, those AI blockers,
Yes.
So your resume actually goes through the employers. How do you write a cover letter? How do you apply? Where do you start applying for jobs? Our career services department has so many aspects where you can, basically there's no reason why you shouldn't get a job unless, you're not putting in the work, because we've got all of those resources for you.
Right.
And that's a lifetime resource. Any graduate or alumni of UNOH has that resource to utilize. So even if you're 10 years down the road, say, something happens where you lose your job or you fall out of the job world somehow and you want to get back into it, here we are. International students, we've got the international student department that helps with not only, from afar and getting students here and then helping them, build that bridge, but then also while you're here, getting them used to, the college life and the American life, and kind of not totally suffocating them with the American life, but how can you bring your culture and enhance what and utilize kind of our resources here and just kind of get embedded in the culture here as well. But yeah, there's resources left, right, and center that, we have to utilize, from whether you're a student athlete or not. You've got our professors, both on the tech side and the business side, top-notch professors that are, like I said, they're invested in the students. They care. So you're going to have a direct mentor from, a lot of your professors in your classes. They're going to know who you are. The class sizes are small so that they get to know you and they're invested in you, not just from an academic standpoint, but from a personal standpoint.
Right.
So you're going to have that direct mentor. Student athletes, obviously, we'll have their coaching staff and the athletic administration and athletic support staff. Our athletic trainers, our compliance guys will help. Our sports information director has been a good mentor to our student athletes. Scott and I always open door policy, and the coaches. It's like I can't say enough about our coaches because we've got a really good group that I'm really proud of, and I think they're great mentors as well. And they first care about the individual, not about the athlete. Not about the student, not about the athlete, but the individual. How are you doing? Are you okay? What can we do to help support you and enhance your college career? So there's endless resources here. You just got to be open to utilizing them.
Yes, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a lot as an athlete to say, I need help with this or I need help with that. And
yes.
It is amazing that we have resources for someone to be able to say, I know where to go. I can reach out to this person and get the help I need, or look for someone that can find some way to help.
Yeah. And if it is a situation like that where you do need help, the resources are there. You might not know where to go, but you can go to any one of these 12 people that you've met that can get you to the right place and are happy to get you to the right place and want to help you.
Right.
And so it's something where it's not always easy to ask for help, like you said. But in the end, it can really make a big difference. So we want to make sure our students know, the resources are here, they're available, and we want to help you. So, if it does come to something, a situation like that, then we're ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's it. Ready racers.
That's it. Yeah, we're ready to go, ready to run.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Dervarics.
Of course.
A pleasure talking to you.
Of course. It's been an honor to be on. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I've enjoyed our conversation and look forward to watching more.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you, viewers. Go look on YouTube, Spotify for each episode at Life in the Racers Lane and at Life in Racers Lane. We are also on TikTok and shout out at UNOH Racers, the athletics page, and at UNOH EDU. Thank you.